Tennessee This Week from WATE's 6 on Your Side starts now.
Hello and welcome to Tennessee This Week. I'm Lori Tucker. Glad you're with us. And this week we continue to hear from Knoxville's newest city council members. This week we're joined by Denzel Grant for the first time since he won the District 6 seat. Congratulations and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, absolutely.
Let's go ahead and dive right in. First, I just want a feel for when you found out you won this race.
Yeah.
What was your first reaction?
It was an overwhelming feeling.
Yeah.
Even during my campaign, I talked about this being a lifelong dream, from being an 8-year-old kid and, seeing the things that Danny Mayfield, done, remembering him knocking on my mom's door. It was a full circle moment. So to have, family there, have friends there, people in the community who supported me over the years, it was very overwhelming. Absolutely.
Yeah, when you told me initially last time we talked, when you were still a candidate, about Danny Mayfield, who is a beloved figure here and was taken way too soon.
Yeah.
You talked about being 8 and that feeling. What was it about what he said, or was it more what he did that got you to thinking about public service?
It was what he did. I'll be honest, just being an 8-year-old kid, I can't remember too much in terms of what was said. But I remember the feeling, how my mom felt when he left. It was a sense of inspiration. I felt her confidence. I felt her inspiration for seeing a young man like that who, took the time to come in, hear her concerns, and, just seeing someone like that who looks like you as a young man, it can be inspiring. And so, I held on to it.
And making voters feel important, that their voice can indeed be heard. Was
Absolutely.
that something that was going through your mind when you were knocking on doors, and you knocked on a lot?
Absolutely. I had a wonderful campaign manager, William Mendoza, who taught me a lot. He worked hard, kept me on my toes. We knocked a lot of doors. Taking that time, having that, sometimes it could be a 5-minute conversation, sometimes it could be a 45-minute conversation. But taking that time on people's porches and, being invited to their living room and just hearing them, actively listening, I think it made all of the difference. And so it was very, very, it was great to be able to do and experience.
What kind of learning experience was it for you in terms of now how you're going to put some of their concerns into action?
Yeah.
Did you have a theme? Did a trend arise from people's concerns?
Yeah, my campaign, the slogan was, bringing people together to build what's next. And so taking all those concerns, understanding the diversity that, as I said, Knoxville has, but also District 6, realizing that no concern is smaller or bigger than the other. And just being able to take all of that, bundle all that, and like I said, actively listen to it and do what you can to put it into practice.
What jumped out at you, some of the big concerns?
And
maybe small ones too.
Yeah, just the change. People want change. People want an opportunity, to be able to live a more safe, more equitable, more financially stable life, right? People want our kids to be safe. People want access to capital, right? People want to be able to create more opportunities of home ownership and wealth for themselves and their families. And so, figuring out ways to collectively push these things forward and make change for those who have tirelessly been waiting for it.
That's tough in this economy. We're in a tough time right now.
Oh,
How do you get around that, or try to approach it and make a difference?
Relationships. I was just talking behind the scenes about the power of a network, right? Having a strong network of people behind the scenes, family, friends, and even your constituents up there on council and in the community, being open-minded, being willing to listen and share, respectful disagreements at times.
Speaking of city council, have you had a chance to kind of get your bearings? I mean, you're so new.
Yeah. This administration, I can give credit. They've done a good job in terms of providing different orientations for the new council. We use the expression of drinking through a fire hose. It's a lot of information. But I can credit the administration for, connecting us to different department heads and really taking that opportunity to give us as much as information as possible that we can take back to the community and be able to use.
Do you feel that you're in a supportive network, speaking of networking, or is this easier or tougher than you thought to try to gauge people's different personality types, working as a team, hopefully? What do you think? Is it different than you thought it would be, and how?
It's everything that I expected. Honestly, I knew the task was going to be tough going in. And so, I realized this isn't one man's or one woman's job, right? It's going to take a total collective effort to try to get things done. And so I know it's a tough task, and I look forward to the challenge.
Yeah, you're already making your voice heard. Recently, you voted to postpone a resolution allowing Mayor Kincannon to award up to $60,000 in Empower Knox Youth mental health grants.
Yes.
Let's talk about why you did that.
Yeah, for me, and as I said, I made it clear that it wasn't about the mission. It's not about the organizations individually. Oftentimes it's about the process of things. And so, given my experience over the last 3 years on a grassroots level, working with the different departments in this current administration, I realized that we can support our grassroots organizations a little bit better. Those small grants can make a huge difference for a small organization. And so for me, how can we kind of, slow down what our current processes are, allow council members, the new council, to kind of get involved, to be able to help, create opportunities to change how we process things. And so that was the goal. I've had conversations with those recipients, and I look forward to, taking the next couple of weeks to learning their programs, and being able to support them however I can, but making sure that we're keeping grassroots organizations in mind in our processes.
Just a chance to go over everything.
Absolutely.
And again, your past experience working with young people, that really factored into your thinking here?
Absolutely. I've had that in-depth experience. I've had that boots on the ground experience when you talk about youth mental health. I've had the pleasure to working with those organizations who are on the ground. And, like I said, making sure we're not leaving those organizations out.
I want to talk about your vision for the Magnolia Avenue corridor. That's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
What's your overall plan?
Yeah. Well, I know I have my own personal ideas in terms of what I would like. But right now, behind the scenes, meeting different people, business owners, community members, leaders, to come up with some type of strategic plan within ourselves. Somewhat of a ground up approach. I know the city has already approved the Magnolia corridor plan, but just making sure that more of the broader community is included in this process as time continues to roll. I look forward to, getting more equitable investment businesses along the Magnolia corridor, but also making sure that we're keeping the MLK corridor in mind as well. There's a lot of small business and, homes along the Magnolia in the MLK corridor, rather, that we should keep in mind as we're, making decisions.
I know it seems like you want to take your time and be thoughtful about different things, but what do you have a timeline? What timeline would you like to see for the corridor?
These terms can go by quick. And so for me, I want to get a lot of things done within my first term. Some of the groundwork has already been done. Some of the conversation has been had. And so, like I said, just looking to being able to, bring some of the knowledge that I have to the decisions. But I think it's something that we can get done in a very, very short time frame.
You said you had your own personal desires for this. If you had a chance to kind of, you can't do it visually, but just kind of take us through your blueprint. Do you have specific businesses you would like to go in?
Absolutely.
What are you thinking?
More restaurants along the Magnolia corridor. Given those opportunities, you take something like Baker Boys, right? What it's done for the Park Ridge community. It's created jobs locally, right? It's given, community members an opportunity to walk, right? We want those same opportunities along the Magnolia corridor and within the MLK corridor as well. And so, restaurants, salons. There's a number of things that, I think the community would welcome there. But making sure that it's owned by us, built by us, and for us.
And you want the stadium to kind of be the starting point?
Well, I know Burlington.
How would that factor?
Burlington has kind of been, a hot take right now. I look forward to, being able to, have the community included in that. I think the stadium is great. I look forward to, the equitable investment and impact that I hope it's going to have in the future. But making sure that we're building from both ways, right? I think that's important as well. Making sure we're not forgetting, the other side of East Knoxville. And so I look forward to seeing how we can bring both those things together.
Well, final question, talking about the whole district, District 6 as a whole.
Yeah.
Lots of things to do.
Yeah.
I know Magnolia is the biggie,
Yeah.
but what else are you looking at in terms of making it a safer place to live and work?
Yeah. Well, yeah, making sure that we're having conversation, continued conversation with our local law enforcement, making sure that we're having conversation with community leaders, making sure we're having conversation with city staff to make sure that, public safety continues to be a priority, making sure that the community is rooted in that process. District 6 is a very, very diverse district, right? There's a lot of things that we need done. But I look forward to, like I said, just, taking that time and spending, majority of my first year still campaigning, getting out there, knocking on doors. We have a town hall coming up, a joint town hall, February 28th, myself, Damon Rawls, Sam McKenzie, John Butler, and Amelia Parker. We're inviting our constituents as well and the community to come in and just let their voices be heard, meet us as, elected officials, and get as much community input as we can as we make decisions on a local and state level.
How do you keep balance in your life? You gotta be tired.
I am, but I got a good support system. Like I said, family and friends at home, they keep me grounded. I be sure to take time for myself. I have a dog that keeps me busy. My kids keep me busy. So, but I know this is going to be a tough task. It's full-time work, part-time pay, but I look forward to making a sacrifice. My family understands the sacrifice, and so I look forward to getting some things done.
It's good to see you. Thank you for being with
Absolutely.
us. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
All right. Don't go anywhere. We'll bring in our panel of pundits right after this. Welcome back to Tennessee This Week. A moment ago, we heard from new City Council member Denzel Grant. Now let's bring in our panel of pundits to further the conversation. Joining us today, Courtney Piper, Craig Griffith, and Michael Covington. A belated Happy New Year to you all.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you for being with us. Let's first talk about the Magnolia Avenue corridor and Grant's vision, what he was able to share with us so far. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting. As a new member of council, no matter how active you've been in the city political ring, advocating for things, being on council is a steep learning curve. Learn what you can do and what you can't do. And I think that he is trying to develop a cohesive vision for that. And he's not putting the cart in front of the horse. He's attempting to get input into the plans, public input, stakeholders, and that's really what and other people in city government. So I think that's the necessary first step, and we'll all be better off for that plan if he is able to bring in all the different voices. In the end, the plan, any plan has to be translated into projects, completed projects for success to occur. And so as he pointed out, his terms are actually fairly short in the long look at things. So it's imperative that he gets to work and gets a vision out there so he can accomplish some of those things in this period of time.
Courtney, what about you?
I'm all for it. Magnolia is my corridor. My family and I live in Holston Hills, and I would love more options to be able to stay along Magnolia when my family and I want to go out to dinner. Kingston Pike, Broadway, Chapman Highway have lots of different options for family dining, and we do not have those variety of options on the Magnolia corridor. So I am all for this. The Holston Hills is actually in the 4th district. Denzel Grant represents the 6th, but because of how those districts are drawn, those community members are very much intertwined. So he was telling us off camera that he is working with the 4th district city councilman to make sure that they do get on the same page in terms of a vision for the Magnolia corridor. So I am all for it. We need a big vision and community support, and this is the time to do it.
Completely revitalize
Yes,
that area.
yeah.
Michael.
At his second city council meeting, Mr. Grant threw a curve when he wanted the council to tap the brakes on distributing money to some of those nonprofits. When he talks about trying to expand development on Magnolia, his head is in the game on that. That area is a food desert. Attracting restaurant concerns to that area would be very important to the development of the area. If he can get a consensus among those who can make decisions that will affect that.
Is that your phone, Michael?
It's a new phone. It does
Oh,
what it wants to do.
Okay.
Denzel's calling it.
Yeah,
It may be
Denzel's calling.
Denzel. Yeah, good
But
one,
we're in a position now where we can grow, and Denzel does seem to have the vision that will be important to help that happen.
Let's talk more. You mentioned his pushback on grant funding. Let's talk more about that and your thoughts on kind of tabling it for now.
Every council, new council like this, is going to have their own individual priorities for these grants and things like that. And I think establishing those priorities will be something he'll have to push for, because he'll have to get 5 votes, on council to do whatever he would like. But it's interesting, some of these grant applications were submitted months before he became a council member. So going through the process is going to be important for him to get an understanding of what the process is, who this goes, and develop different metrics, perhaps, that he would like to see in terms of the people that the organizations help and how they help them. So that's a difficult task. That'll be a laborious task for him to do. But, that's why we have changes in city council, because we want to see new eyes, we want to see new priorities, and we want to see things that maybe have been funded for years. Perhaps it's time to let other people enter the arena to see what they can do in terms of improving conditions for our citizens. So I don't see a problem with it. I think it'll be interesting to see how it turns out, whether anybody different gets money through the grant programs and how they determine success.
All right. A thoughtful approach.
I would have taken a different approach.
Yeah.
I understand where Denzel Grant is going, and to get to the same place, I think I would have taken a different approach for some of the reasons that Craig stated. A lot of those nonprofits were depending on those funds. They applied for them months and months and months ago. They are depending on those funds to provide very needed services. I would have gone ahead and approved those, taken some time to build a coalition with my city council, my fellow city council folks, and the next fiscal cycle, next year, put in a process in place that he wants to see in terms of having that change. It's really important that you can prepare nonprofits if there might be a more competitive situation, or if they should be expecting less money. It's also really important too, if you have a small grassroots nonprofit that does not have a big budget, to prepare them for the fact that they could have a bigger budget. And scaling up is no joke, especially when you are providing those kinds of human services. You want that nonprofit to be able to scale successfully and not be so shocked by additional funds that they really can't scale and can't be as effective as they could be. So again, I know where he's going. I understand where he's going. I would have taken a different approach to say, okay, let's pass this because people are depending on these funds, but I'm going to build a coalition and we're going to do this differently next year.
All right. Quick word, Michael. We're
Quick
almost
word.
out of time.
We had just a moment to talk about some competing interests in terms of nonprofits. He does have Emerald Youth that wants to get into the area. As Craig put it, the United Way is the big dog in nonprofits. UT is going to get what UT needs. Denzel has some challenges, but he does seem to be aware of the challenge, and that's a good starting point to begin fixing things.
All right, we'll leave it there. There is much more to come on Tennessee This Week. Stay with us. We're back in 90 seconds. Welcome back to Tennessee This Week. The Tennessee Department of Children's Services plans to build new centers for youth across the state. As we've reported, that includes 2 places here in East Tennessee. DCS says it plans to build 1 center in Knoxville, another in Lenoir City. A release from DCS says the Knoxville Center would be designed for 20 young people, giving those with complex needs a place they can stay for 30 days. The Lenoir City Center would be able to house up to 16 young people, serving those entering offering state care. DCS Commissioner Margie Quinn says there is a need for centers like these, adding time matters when young people enter DCS care. The Department of Children's Services plans to open these centers over the next 2 years. So let's bring our panel of pundits back in. Craig, I want to start with you. Do you think these are needed, and are these facilities enough to support DCS? We know all the problems DCS has been facing.
Are the facilities needed? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is it enough? Absolutely not. As you noted, DCS has had problems over the last 2 gubernatorial administrations, and there seems to be very little effort taken to correct the problems that they've had. They've had children sleeping in offices in Nashville. They've had children that have had to resort to hospital stays to get care. So no, I think that this governor has not placed nearly enough attention on rectifying the problems with the DCS, which affects our most vulnerable in our community, our children. We want the best things for them, and it's a good step in the right direction, but there's so many more steps to go. I'm not sure that this administration is capable of addressing all those concerns.
Do you think it's a step in the right direction?
It is a step in the right direction. I concur with my fellow pundit that it is the tip of the iceberg. We have seen so many news stories and reports coming out of DCS about how they need more resources. The need is too great to meet with the resources they have right now. So it's good to see that we are starting to prioritize children's services a little bit more, but I don't think this is nearly enough.
What about you, Michael?
I have always been horrified by the young people that age out of foster care and end up in human trafficking, end up homeless, end up under bridges.
The numbers are huge. The percentages are huge.
It is just maddening that it has taken this long to realize that something needed to be done. I don't know where the money came from. I'm glad it's available. I hope that these facilities are up and running very quickly. Our children need this service.
This is a drop in the bucket, though. We're talking one center for 20 kids, one for 16. At least it's a start. But what would you like to see?
There should be
in a perfect world?
A center like this in every county in Tennessee. There should be 95 of them, at least.
Okay.
Until they move down that direction, because the needs of the urban children are very different from the needs for the rural children. So yeah, 20 seats in an urban area of probably close to 1 million people, not nearly enough. And as I said, should be one in every county in the state.
And there are other entities to help kids, Isaiah House, places like that. But again, it's just the tip of the iceberg, as you pointed out.
Michael made a really good point. This state has really placed an emphasis on combating human trafficking, and our local communities have placed an emphasis on how to address our homelessness crisis. And I keep hearing Mayor Kincannon in the back of my head where she says the most efficient and best way to address homelessness is to prevent homelessness from happening in the first place. And to Michael's point, if we know that a lot of these children that are in DCS care get trafficked or they end up homeless, let's prevent it before it even starts. And it seems like having these facilities in each county is a good place to start.
Can the state afford that?
Well, if the voucher program doesn't bankrupt us, I think we'll be fine.
Somehow I knew vouchers would come up in this conversation.
Yes, it had to.
Well, speaking, talking about other facilities, yes, but the state is the only organization that has legal authority to remove people from their homes. Right. So they are at the top, and they need to take care of what they have to do before the other nonprofits and NGOs can fill in those gaps.
And then you have DCS with staffing shortages,
Absolutely.
not enough people to look over these kids. The list goes on and on.
Right. Well, there's, the need is there, and it's up to our legislators and our governors to address that issue.
And I don't think this will be solved this year. This is Governor Lee's last year. Our next governor is really going to have an opportunity to prioritize this, and we'll see if they rise to the occasion.
Quick word, Michael.
I hope that we have enough money to do the things that we absolutely must do. We have got to do a better job and on behalf of our young people. We just need to be smarter. We need to do more.
All right, thank you so much. Hey, before we let you go, One last thing, our own Courtney Piper, I have to tell you, was named the 2026 Communicator of the Year by the Volunteer Chapter of the Public Relations Society of America. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Well
Thank
deserved. You
you.
did a
Thank
wonderful
you.
job here and in your profession.
Thank you. It was a huge honor, and I was just so thrilled to receive it. So thank you.
We're happy for you. And thank you all for being with us. Have a great Sunday.
The views of guests on Tennessee This Week are their own and do not represent the views of WATE 6 on your side or Nexstar Broadcasting.